Howdy, partners. Welcome to the channel. Jim Reads Too Slow. I'm Jim. Man, my head's wet already. All that wool. Okay, so let's get started. That was a little too much. The first, and I'm sure you all agree, not the last, June on the Range has come to an end. And I more than doubled my list of the Westerns that I've read throughout my life. I might add, thoroughly enjoyed. June on the Range, of course, is the wildly popular reading event, the brainchild of Michael K. Vaughan. It had a great list of co-hosts, and it was an entire month of reading Westerns. Westerns, a genre that has somewhat fallen out of the mainstream over the last several years, but one that still can be immensely enjoyable. Everything I've heard about the event, everything I've read, everything I've watched has been positive. And I will participate in it again next year, as I'm sure it will be repeated. So this year, until June 1st, I had read my best estimate, the ones that I can remember, 4 Western novels. I read My Antonia by Willa Cather, Old Jules by Marie Sandoz, a couple of great Nebraska authors, Little Big Man by Thomas Berger, a big chunky book that I read in junior high, and Warlock by Oakley Hall, another great Western. 4 novels, although technically Old Jules, you could probably argue, was more of a biography. 4. This month I read 6 more. I started out with Valdez is Coming by Elmore Leonard, and then I read True Grit by Charles Portis during week 1 of June on the Range. Week 2, I read Riders of the Purple Sage by Zane Grey, a great classic, probably my favorite Western of the month. During week 3, I read The Shootist by Glendon Swarthout and Hondo by Louis L'Amour, the short story that the movie Hondo was based on, The Gift of Cochise, also by Louis L'Amour. I read that as well. And I finished up the month with The Sisters Brothers by Canadian-born author Patrick deWitt. I really, really enjoyed this book. So, The Sisters Brothers, it takes place in 1851 in Oregon, and in primarily in the goldfields of California. 2 brothers, Charlie and Eli Sisters, are gunfighters. They're assassins, basically, who work for a man who goes by the name of the Commodore. He's one of those Western villains, the Commodore is, who can never be too rich, never be too powerful. He has to have his fingers in everything. Just generally a bad guy. And the brother's latest job for the Commodore is to kill a man by the name of Hermit Kermit Warm, who we're told at first has stolen from the Commodore, and nobody steals from the Commodore. So Warm has been located by another of the Commodore's employees, a man by the name of John Morris. Now generally speaking, he's kind of a private eye. He goes out and finds the people who are on the Commodore's hit list, and then he brings in the brothers and they do the dirty work. So Charlie, the older of the brothers, this kind of work suits him to a T. He has a bit of a temper. This is one way of kind of blowing off steam. He's, a gunfighter. He likes it. Doesn't have any plans to change. Eli, on the other hand, the younger brother, he's just in it to protect Charlie. Although he has a temper also that leads him to do some pretty gross things, he'd really rather be doing something else for a living. So they're on their way to the gold fields, the brothers. They have some exciting times. They discover anesthesia. They discover toothbrushing, and they kill a bunch of people. Also on their way, we come to find out, although Charlie knew all along, we come to find out that the Commodore actually wants Worm dead because Worm has come up with a formula that makes gold glow brilliantly, brightly. Like when you dump this chemical into a stream, any of the little, flakes or chunks of gold that are in there will begin to glow brightly, at least for a few minutes. So you can just wade out into the water and pick everything up, put it in a bucket, and get rich quick. Well, Worm has refused to give this formula to the Commodore, and the Commodore wants it. So he sends the Sisters Brothers out to get the formula from Worm by whatever means necessary and then kill him. Well, Morris Morris realizes that this is not right. That that Worm is being penalized for his own smarts, for his own work. So he ends up joining Worm, and together they head off to Worm's claim to begin with 4 big giant barrels of the chemical to start raking in the gold, and at the same time nervously await the arrival of these killers. But unbeknownst to them, Charlie and Eli have started having second thoughts as well. Even Charlie doesn't like the idea of killing Worm just for his own hard work. So if you've read this book, if you've seen the movie that's based on it, by the way, with Joaquin Phoenix and John C. Reilly as the brothers, or if you're just good at guessing, you know that a chemical slurry that makes gold glow brightly is not going to be the best thing for the environment or for the human body. And we'll just leave it there. Read this book. It won a bunch of awards. It was shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize in 2011, 2012. It's funny in places. It's thoughtful. It's kind of horrible. There's a lot of killing. They meet an old prospector who makes coffee with dirt. He's been off by himself, so long. They meet another old prospector who they end up killing, and so I found that it had a really satisfying ending. There are some rough spots in it, but they get smoothed out by the end. And I highly recommend this book. It's a good one. So that is my June on the Range wrap up. Did I learn anything? For the most part, I really like Westerns, and I intend to continue reading them. I did learn that. I also found out that I do not like descriptions of people riding their horses to death. If you'd asked me at the start of the month, is this something you think you'd be into? I probably would have said no. I don't think so. Don't think I like that very much. But this month confirms that. I can say that for sure now. I do not like graphic descriptions, particularly of people riding their horses to death. So that's June on the Range. In other reading, I'm keeping up with the Book of the New Sun reading group. I'm currently in chapter 25 of The Sword of the Lictor by Gene Wolfe, the 3rd book. And I'm liking it. I don't 100% know what's going on yet, but I'm kind of getting into the groove, getting into the hang of it. And I think it's going to hopefully all fall together here pretty soon. I also finished The Hamlet by William Faulkner, the first book in the Snopes trilogy. There's a Summer of Snopes that's going on right now. I'm part of that reading group. The Hamlet is a book whose main character is very rarely seen or heard from. And that's kind of an accomplishment, I think. Though he influences almost everything that happens in the book, every person and the place. One writer describes the Snopes clan as descending on this place in Yoknapatawpha County, Frenchman's Bend, like a fungus. And I agree with that. After this first book, amoral is probably the best word that you can use to describe them. So I'm taking a little breather until the start of July. And then I'm going to go into the second book, The Town, the second of the 3 books on the Snopes family. And I'm also finishing up Slan here in the next day or two. I'll be finished with that by A.E. Van Vogt. His 1940 science fiction novel about a young Superman and the people who are chasing and trying to kill him. So something's going on out there. That is it, BookTube. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope all your reading dreams are coming true. This is starting to get warm already. Got to take it off. So until next time, have a good one.